10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Competition Plus Power Hour. I'm your host tonight, Dujane Bland, and over there is my special guest co-host, Miss Nikki Clark. How are you doing tonight?
I'm great, and I'm so excited to be co-hosting with you because when they asked me yesterday, I'm like, it's me and Dujane. Yes.
I know. I was super excited. I found out late. I just found out at 12 o'clock today.
Yeah.
Man, we got a great show tonight. We're going to have Chase Van Sant, the Herrera stopper, on the show first. And I'm looking forward to talking to him. You know, what a way to, after coming off of an injury and where I felt like they were starting to make some real headway to come back this season and really come out swinging is pretty awesome for that team.
Gotcha. And now I'm so nervous. I'm like, okay, I'm making notes. I just thought of a question. So I'm writing notes. Y'all, this is my first time.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. And Maddie Gordon, what can I say about her?
So excited for her.
Tremendous driver. A lot of history is going to be made with her. Let's just say that.
Oh, yeah. Just one of many. Her and her family are just amazing. And yeah, she just is a natural. And she's had the best role models and the best teachers teaching her how to work on the car and drive it. So, oh yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to her.
Indeed. And first, I know over there, she placed just outside of the top 10 in the drag race bracket bonanza. This guy here, stinking up the joint every week. What can I say?
I thought I did too, because I saw how red it was, but I ended up picking 3 of the 4 winners.
Yeah, I thought I had the winners, and then I didn't. So that really added to the red on my bracket there. So after we come out of the break, we will be talking with Chase Van Sant.
Drag racing fans, check out Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It's the free, family-friendly fantasy bracket game. Now, after final qualifying at every national event, you can fill out your bracket for all the pro classes.
It's free, easy to click on your picks. If you need some help, just hit the randomizer button to fill in the blanks. It's for fun, stay engaged, and pick your winners today.
And Chase is with us, and man, what a weekend you had being able to come out there and pull off what most thought was the unthinkable and stop Mr. Gage Herrera.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me on. It was a pretty unbelievable weekend, to say the least.
Now, when you got done, when you won that, how many people? I mean, were your competitors coming up and being shaking your hand and you finally stopped him, or how was the rest of the class? Were they treating you after that?
Oh no, it was cool. I mean, I feel like I'm pretty green in the class yet, so I haven't tarnished too many relationships yet. But no, it was cool. Richard Gadsden was one of the first, aside from Gage, to come over and congratulate me. And I've known Richard for a while, raced with him for a number of years before Pro Stock. So it was cool that he came down. Matt Smith came down. Steve Johnson called me. Angie was over afterwards. It's just cool. I just got off of another little interview here where we were talking about the class as a whole. And, it's cool. I think there is a lot of drama in this class. There is a lot of back and forth, and I think the media shows sometimes that we're at each other's throats. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think we all know we need each other in a way, and it is a extremely dysfunctional family, to say the least, but a family nonetheless.
Good way to put
I
it.
agree with you on that. I think that some of us in the media are blowing a little bit of BS out there. I know a lot of the racers in this class, and I just think it's just a passionate group that, hey, when it's time to race and it's time to get on the line, all the friendships and all the kumbayas to the side, and that's just how racing is. Coming into that final round, knowing that you're going to have to face Gage, I thought your bike was performing absolutely exceptionally well, has been for a while now. What was the thought process to kind of not worry about what they were doing and what they might do in that lane, but just worry about what Chase Van Sant needed to do?
It was a really, really interesting final round because I had actually had some issues in the round before that. And I guess issues isn't the right word. The run was not what we had drawn up. Basically, Matt's bike didn't start, and my bike lit the tire up on the starting line. I mean, I think I had a 109 60 foot and went like a 689 or something like that. And it was a ride. It absolutely lit the tire up. So I was actually a little bit concerned about the transmission. Our transmissions need a lot of load on them. The second that they're unloaded or decelled on, it's bad news for us. I mean, we basically have to get in and do some surgery. So for me, when I got down to the top end of the track, I was basically waiting for Keith, my mechanic, to come back, and I was like, hey, we got to go. Like, this thing might be hurt. I didn't know. It was just one of those runs where I actually had something really similar happen in Q2. I didn't make it all the way down the track, and it was just because of a lot of wheel speed. So when we got down there, it was like we got back to the pit and we were thrashing, and we were actually late to the staging lanes. The NHRA was outside of our pit watching us button the bike up, and basically telling us, like, Gage is at the ready line, you have to get ready. So I had my leathers on, I had my earplugs in, everything but my helmet on, rolling up, leaving my pit to get to the staging lanes. And I said it before, but like, that was one of the biggest blessings in disguise, because I rolled up, said, good luck, be safe to Gage, put my helmet on, and we were in the burnout box. And it was like that, in a way, forced my hand to just focus on the process, all the simple stuff, like our air shifter. We have a pin. My dead man tether is pinned underneath the button, so no one can bump the button and accidentally bump it into gear while I'm rolling. So it was literally like, my thought process was just like, unpin that, put the bike in third, do your burnout, put it in first. Like, everything that I needed to do to just make a run down the track, regardless of whether it was a final round or not, was my thought process. So I think that helped more than anything, because I wasn't thinking about the outcome of the race, and what was on the line and everything like that. It really, really forced me to focus on the process. And I'm a huge Luke Bagacki fan. I listened to all of his daily driver podcasts and everything like that, and one thing that he just pounds is focus on the process. And it gets harder to do the more comfortable you get and the better that your bike is running. And so for me to have somewhat of a small issue going on kind of forced my hand to turn the conscious mind off and really let the subconscious take over and do what I know how to do. And that was get the bike down the track and cut a light.
Wow, no time to think, just react. And now this is also Tim Cudgeon's first win as an owner, which is very cool. And I just adore him. I know he's been in this game for a long time. I remember, back when I did, pictures and that, him when he worked with Ellie. What's it like? What have you learned from him? I mean, how much are you just taking in from him since he's been in the game so long?
Man, I've learned so much. It's hard to, we could sit here all night and tell stories about stuff that I've learned, but, I've obviously been with this team ever since I ever showed my around a pro stock motorcycle. And I think that relationship that we've built with me and the guys on the team has really got us to where we are. As far as Tim goes, we've really learned how to work together on certain things. For the longest time, I was a little bit intimidated because I was like, he's done this for so long. He's looked at the chart or, the computer after a run. I mean, the guy obviously knows what he's looking at, when we get back and he's looking every little thing that we monitor on these motorcycles. So I think for my first year, I was maybe a little bit quiet. and wasn't necessarily portraying what I had felt on the motorcycle. And, you know, I think it was middle of the season last year, and we sat down in the trailer, and he's like, you know, I get this data all that I want, but we really need to find a way to where we can translate what you're feeling into the data. And ever since that point, I mean, we really started to lower our short time numbers. I mean, our 60 foots at the end of last year really improved. The beginning of this year, we struggled a little bit, but ever since Chicago, we've been at the top of the top of the page as far as 60 foots go for quite a while. And if we aren't at the top, we're not far behind. And so, I mean, really learning how to work with him and tell him what I think the bike needs. And he tells me, you know, things that I need to do on the motorcycle. It's like, and it's been such a cool way that the relationship has developed, you know, as far as the racing goes. And on the personal side, I mean, he's taught me a lot just about life in general, you know, about experiences he's had and, you know, things that might help me kind of navigate through certain areas of my life. And I'm definitely super fortunate to have someone like him and my dad around me all the time, you know, at the racetrack when tensions and stresses levels are high and you're in a, you know, maybe a more emotional state than you are normally, to have him and my dad there. It's been pretty awesome to just be able to have those guys there to navigate me through those situations.
Very cool.
Now you've raced in that 460 index class. I think it's one of the classes that really prepares riders for pro stock motorcycle. What are some of those things that you learned from that class that you have been able to apply to the bike you're riding now?
And the 460 is an incredibly tough class. You know, when I was running it, it just got to the point where, you know, like I look at Super Comp, I like Super Comp. I like all the index classes that they run at national events. And it's like some of the packages that you had to have to win, we're measuring up to some of those in the super classes at national events. And it's like, man, it forces you to find the best, you know, that you have in you, you know, the best of yourself and bring it to the line every single time. Because when you have depth and some of those races, there's 50, 60 bikes. Not every round is going to be an easy round. And a lot of times first round is a tough round. So I think for me, it was just putting myself in situations where I knew it was going to be a tough race going in. There's a lot of pressure on the line, and you know, that class, they do race for some good money sometimes too. So you know, aside from bragging rights and everything like that, it's like when you get put into pressure situations where you have to perform and bring the best version of yourself into a round, I think that is part of what has prepared me for pro stock the most. And you know, it does help that the bikes are similar. We run a very similar rear tire, and you know, it helps that you get comfortable looking over at 150, 160 miles an hour at the 8th mile to judge the stripe and things like that. It just gets you more comfortable at those speeds. So man, there's a lot that 460 has taught me. But I think ultimately it's just knowing how to bring the best version of yourself to the starting line. That's really where it's been for me.
Great. And by the way, we're enjoying the beautiful background you have. Where are you? Tell us where you're at right now and how beautiful it is as you make your way down the coast to Sonoma.
Yeah, I'll show you the better part of it. But yeah, I'm at a lake in Oregon. I think it's Lake Diamond by Crater Lake. So I'm enjoying myself. I definitely didn't get this last year. I actually flew back home between all 3 races last year. So, and I was sick for a majority of it. So you can about imagine how fun that was, but definitely enjoying a few days off here. And yeah, I'm excited to move on to the next stop. I think we're going to Mount Shasta. So go there and be at the racetrack on Thursday. And I am definitely excited to be back at the racetrack. That's for sure.
That's actually one of the best things about the Western swing is what you guys do instead of flying back, staying home on the West Coast. I know I've seen everybody today, like hanging out in Seattle, going to the market and that, or already going to Sonoma to wine. That would not be me. And but yeah, I'm glad you get to take the time, relax, go to Sonoma. Is there something you're looking forward to at the Sonoma track? I know that's one of my favorites. I think it should be a bucket list track for everybody.
Oh man, I love Sonoma. And Seattle, I mean, too. Both of these tracks are ones that I was really looking forward to all year. But Sonoma, obviously, with the All-Star call-out, I'm super excited for that. I think the opportunity to get to race on Saturday, anytime we get that, whether it's the Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge or the call-out, I love it. Like, the more racing I can do, the better. And I'm more so excited to see how it's going to play out. I think the circumstances are a little interesting because I am at the bottom. I'm not going to have the chance to call anybody out, but being the most recent winner, I feel like it may put a little bit of a target on my back, and hopefully make it a little bit more intimidating to pick me than it was last year. So we'll see how that all plays out, but I'm definitely excited for all of that. It's fun. We got the kids autograph session in Sonoma, the call out autograph session. There's a lot of opportunity to connect with fans out there, and they're awesome. It's so cool to be halfway across the country from home for me, and have a lot of fans that know my name and know who I am, and yeah, it's always a special place when we get to go and meet awesome fans like that.
Well, the improvements that you guys made showing up, last year, 12 and 13 round win-loss record. You guys made 4 semis, but 11 and 6 this year round win-loss record. You got that win. You got a runner-up. Feels like coming into Sonoma, it's one of those things where when they line up against you, they're feeling the pressure after you getting this win here in Seattle.
Yeah, it's funny because like at a race like Seattle, I didn't feel my best on the tree all weekend, and that's something I've actually kind of struggled with this year, to be really transparent with you guys. Last year, I had a really good year on the Christmas tree, and I made a lot of really good runs and was just never able to really get it done. And it's funny when you go into a weekend like Seattle when you kind of feel like you're struggling, and then the bikes kind of come around all of a sudden, and so then it's like, well, the bike's there, I better figure my stuff out really quick. And we did, and it's all due to the hard work of Tim and this whole team. I mean, we've had our 60-foot numbers down. We really were hurting for some mile an hour, and Tim found it. And it's such a cool feeling that we were able to put all the pieces of the puzzle together. And for me, it was a little bit of a process on race day. I approached race day a lot different than I have in the past. Before I went into all the races and was just super aggressive on the starting line, and it really cost me in Bristol and Virginia. And I think I was a little bit more methodical about how I approached this past weekend in Seattle. And so I think for the future, I think people will see us that, we do have a really strong bike, and on paper, my reaction times, they got better throughout the day. They weren't great, but it's also something that has been my strong suit in the past. So I really do think that, calling us out in the All-Star call-out maybe looks a little more intimidating. And I really do feel like we found our stride kind of at the right time in the season.
Well, I tell you what, man, it is very, very much so exciting to see the success you guys are having. I really hope that this thing continues for you guys in Sonoma. And if it does, we can have you back on the show, man.
Yeah. No, I'd be all right with that.
And I got to ask this one more thing, just because I know Dugenais is a big, huge football fan, and so am I, your Iowa boy. So do you cheer up north for Vikings or south for Kansas City?
Oh boy. I'm going to blow your guys' mind here with this one. So
No.
I never really followed the NFL a whole lot. But when I was really young, my cousin, Teague, he's a big Chiefs fan, and he either went to a game or someone went to a game and he got a game ball from the Chiefs game, right? So everything, like geography, like everything is pointing that I should be a Chiefs fan, but the ball was signed by Ed Reed and Ray Lewis. So I am a Ravens fan.
All right. Well, I'll tell you this. if you want real good Ravens coverage, you need to look up Karita Parks. She is beat reporter for the Ravens. She's there every day. She does excellent work. You want all the updated news and all the little stuff from camp, that's your person to follow. I guarantee you won't. You will thank me later.
All right. I definitely will. I was a little bit heartbroken after the last year. I thought that was our chance to go to the Super Bowl, but yeah, we're looking good again this year. So we'll see.
Yeah, I hope so. I was disappointed too. They just out of character, didn't go into the game with what they had been working coming in, and just completely changed the whole entire game plan. And it does not. That was not what the team needed to be doing, and it showed, unfortunately.
I know you could point to a couple key moments where momentum could have been on their side, and it went right back. So we'll fingers crossed we got those problems solved, and we'll try again this year.
Yes, sir. Well, Chase, thank you so much for coming on the show. Enjoy the rest of your downtime, and look forward to seeing you guys laying down some laps in Sonoma.
Yeah, thank you guys a bunch for having me on. I appreciate it. Definitely looking forward to Sonoma.
Good luck.
Chase Van Sant, everybody.
Good guy.
And Maddie, we see you there in the green room. We're going to go. Oh, before we go to a break, Dave W makes a pretty good point there. Chase talked about his reaction times, but ironically, he has an 0.33 average this year. That's pretty good.
I'm like, that's not bad at all.
That's pretty good. It's not awful.
Yeah, no. You know, it's harder for those guys to get the lights. So
absolutely, and it's a fine line, right? Like with bike, they respond so quickly that you can easily go red. Easily go red. Well,
exactly.
Well, when you go red, you have every thing to rely on when you have a high performance car, and Redline Oil is the brand that you need to be using if you want to go racing or you want to zoom with your sports car on the highway.
And they're a big supporter of women in motorsports. I like that.
Indeed.
Reliability to drive thousands of miles. Confidence for those who fly high. Redline Oil products give you the power to crush the competition. And a track record of being the best. Redline Oil products. You push it to the limit, we'll protect it.
Well, we are back with the woman of the hour, Miss Maddie Gordon. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, we are glad that you are here.
Yes, you had kind of a good weekend there, didn't you? Yes, yeah, it was kind of a good weekend. No, it was awesome. You know, I mean, it was kind of just all I could have dreamed of for sure. It was amazing.
I know, because to me, so I mean, I'm going to ask the obvious question about, you know, how do you feel kind of thing, but it's not just that. It's your first national win at getting the Big Wally and the 100th different women. I mean, you're going to be in history books now. I mean, how does that feel?
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. You know, we struggled a bit in qualifying, and for some reason, I could not cut a light. I don't know what was going on. It was me, but I just could not hit it. I couldn't hit it on the practice tree in the trailer. I was really struggling on the racetrack, so I was like, shoot. But you know, we had a fast car, and it was so special, especially with that being the first, you know, my dad's first ever national that one was in Seattle too. So that was like a super big, like, cherry on the top. And then to pull around the corner and realize that I was the 100th woman was like, just amazing and just an honor, because it took obviously so much leading into that. I'm just one of the 100, you know, I just happened to be the 100, but you know, it took everybody else to get to that point. You know, so it's really an honor just to be a part of that. But, you know, it's just kind of give the credit to everybody who led up to that, because I'm just one of the 100, really.
Now, you know, you've done an excellent job. I mean, even coming into this thing, your driving skills are impeccable. But tell everyone the preparation that it takes for you being in this funny car and to really have this success happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot, you know, and it's a lot of behind the scenes work for everybody, you know. After my dad winning 3 world championships, it's like, oh, great, now we got the newbie in here. This is gonna be fun, I guess. You know, so everybody really gave up a lot, you know, for me to drive the car, because we knew we weren't gonna come into it winning a world championship with me driving, just because of just how difficult it is to drive these cars. I think for me, the biggest preparation and things that I've done to acclimate myself is watching GoPro videos. We took lots of videos of Dad. You know, I had a camera right here, right behind his head for, you know, like pretty much the whole 23 season. And I watched those videos thousands of times, and I'd be sitting on the airplane, literally sitting on the airplane, like pretending like I'm driving, shifting, throwing the parachutes, like all of that stuff. And, you know, so it's just, there's a lot that goes into it. And, you know, and especially just seat time is a huge thing too, of course. But the cars don't want to go straight. They never want to go straight. So it's a big adjustment for sure.
And now I have to ask too, because I know one of the things I love about you and your car is it's all your family. You know, it's grandma, grandpa, mom, dad. Where was Macy?
Yeah, I know, right?
Where's Macy?
We need to get her over here, and she didn't tell us. No, but she, you know, she's about to start college. And seriously, I don't think I've ever gone to a race without her. You know, I started racing when I was 8 years old, and with juniors, and we're always together. You know, we're like 2 peas in a pod. So it was very, you know, odd, different without her there. But basically, she's about to start college, and she just has a lot going on right now, like just trying to get acclimated and all that kinds of stuff. So she had to take the weekend off to be at home, especially because we had 3 in a row. Yeah. So it was a lot for her, and she had that weekend off. And of course, it happened to be the weekend that we won the first national event. So that was a bummer. But Cam Brady, he works on Dwayne Shields' car. He did an awesome job. He's like family to us. He really is, you know. He actually was over here at last Christmas here. So he really is like family, and he did a great job, and it was good having him for sure.
Now, Dave W says, wait, Maddie is leading the points in Top Alcohol Funny Car currently. What do you mean you on a title contender?
Well, we are doing pretty well. Sean Bell, we are technically leading, but Sean does still have an extra race to go. We have an extra race than he does. So technically we're not leading, but either way, we're still having a great season. And I could not have dreamt it'd be any better than the way it's going. So I'm super stoked with how well it's going.
And I think it was WFO Joe and maybe Galvin who brought up how there should be a Top Alcohol Rookie of the Year. And I think we can pretty much like give it to you. I mean, they keep saying we should do this. I'm like, I'm all in, and it should go to Maddie.
That would be amazing. You know, that would be so cool. You know, it's so hard to drive these cars, and there's just so much just behind the scenes, little things that you don't notice on a run, you know, where just the shifting is just so critical. The stage RPM is so critical. And just the way you drive the car and finesse the car is just so critical. And there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that don't get seen unless you're looking at the computer or you're looking at the GoPro video and stuff like that. And, you know, so I do a lot of internal battles as far as just like trying to balance I need to be better at this, and also, you know, good job, Maddie. You did this well, because I'm always strictly focused on how can I improve, how can I be better, what did I do wrong that I can do better next time, So I am learning to accept the good things that I've done and not just focus on all the negatives. So.
And you're doing double duty too. I mean, people, they look at the fuel cars, they have a whole crew working on it. Sometimes drivers just doing fuel and talking ropes. You guys are all got hands on the car. So in between, it's not like you're just like, oh, I need to get ready. You're like working on the car.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And even in Phoenix at the first regional event, my first ever race, we were in the final round, but it was like 3 runs a day. It was super, super fast paced. And yeah, I do the clutch in between rounds, and we broke a rod in the semis. So we changed motors in the semis. When I was done with the clutch, I was helping put the motor back together, and I was so burnt out. And I was torquing the clutch, and my wrench slipped off. I don't know how. I swear I had springs under my feet. But I was torquing the clutch, and the wrench slipped, and I literally flew like 4 feet backwards onto the oil dump, 5-barrel thing. Hit my wrist on the table because I went like this, fell between the tables, and I pop up. I'm like, all right, I'm good, no worries. About like 5 minutes later, my wrist is swollen, my butt is so and my butt was already bruising. And I'm like, Mom, I didn't say Mom, but I'm like, I finished the clutch. I just got to go sit down for 5 minutes. And as soon as that 5 minutes was up, it was time to go. So it was, that's a rare occasion where I fall like that. But, there's a lot going on in between rounds for everybody, not just me, but everybody.
Oh, that's a question from Andrew. He says, with your dad having some scary incidents over his career, was there any hesitation to drive?
Don't call me crazy, but not actually there wasn't for me. I think if he would have gotten hurt, it would have been different. I think, he was the only thing he had was a bruise on his leg. It was a big bruise, but that's the only thing that he had. And obviously we all know that, it was very lucky, absolutely anything could have happened. But for me personally, I actually didn't have any hesitations getting into the car after that. I think the big reason was Dad didn't get hurt. The other reason was we did change a lot on the car after that. We added a lot more downforce, and we do really feel like we know why that happened with the help of a lot of people, including a lot of the big guys up in the pro pits. They really were really generous with information and trying to help us out. So we did change a lot to basically, we feel, prevent that from ever happening again. So that was very comforting too.
Yeah, because you have a whole alcohol family behind you. That's when you're saying Cam was like family. I'm like, your whole alcohol class is like family. Yeah, it literally is. I mean, everybody's like family out there. We're all rivals when you get to the racetrack, but we're 100% family off the racetrack. And when you're talking about watching your dad, it must be an alcohol thing, because you and Maddie Payne are the same way. Because I remember one time watching Jay crash, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, poor Maddie. She's little. And I'm, Maddie, are you okay? Your dad just crashed. She's like, oh yeah, so I'm getting the ambulance. He's fine. He's fine. Well, I can't say I was like that though. I was a mess. It's actually a weird story, but before I drove the car, I was the track. So I checked the track before the rounds every time. So at that specific racetrack, we decided it was going to be best for me to ride the scooter up, check the track before we ran. So I had plenty of time to get all the information we needed and then jump back to Papa and give him everything he needed. Well, that was the first round we decided to do that. So I rode the scooter up by myself. I had the scooter up there, everyone else in the tow vehicle. Well, Dad crashes and I got the scooter and I'm by myself. And my sister, she handles pressure like no other, but when something bad happens, she's out. She cannot handle it. And so she's the first one who realized Dad crashed. And she goes, oh my God, Dad crashed. And just stands there. And I didn't know he crashed. I didn't see the wind light, so I stopped looking. And she's freaking out. He crashed. And I'm like, well, let's go. Let's get in the car. Come on. And so then I'm like, Macy, let's go. He's okay. He's okay. Like, she's, freaking out. Obviously, I didn't know how bad it was. She kind of realized. And I'm like, come on, let's go. Get in the car. Get in the car. So she gets in the car, and I get on the scooter. And as soon as I get in the scooter, I am just a mess. Like,
pinned, full throttle, just freaking out. And then luckily I got there, and one of the guys said he was okay, and they let me go up there. But I cannot say I was a calm by any means.
But yeah, that was scary. I remember, because that's my brainer track too, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad that you got, and Johnny built you a safe race car.
Yes, yeah. Kudos to Johnny. He did extra things behind the scenes, just because of his crash that he had with John Force. He did some extra precautions, and we honestly do feel like that is potentially what kept my dad safe.
Good.
I think it's quite amazing the things that you do and working on the race car. How many young ladies come up to you and you're able to share some of the things that you do to be able to inspire them to chase their particular dreams, whatever it may be in racing?
Oh, there's quite a few. It's really cool, and you get a lot of young kids and a lot of even not young kids, even older people and stuff too. But it's really cool, and I find I find it hard to see myself as an inspiration to anybody because I'm just so young myself. I'm just like a little kid. I can't give advice. I don't hardly know I don't even know my own taxes.
That's good.
I should be taking advice from you. I can't give advice, but it is really, really special to see those little kids and anybody who comes over and I think what draws extra attention, not just myself, but it's the whole family. It's when you look into our pit, you see my sister and my dad in the car, my mom taking the valve covers off, me pulling the clutch, and people are like, is this an all-girl team? And I'm like, no, my dad's down there, and my grandpa's inside, and my grandma's about to come outside too. But I think that's what really draws a lot of the attention. Is not just myself, but the whole team and what we dream.
Yeah, my brother even mentioned that too. He is at a race because my brother JR, and he's this big rough guy, and he helps out Sarah Allen, and you guys were both at a race. And he was like, I had no idea how many little girls would be inspired by these girls in alcohol. The lineup, they see the pink car and they're like, ooh, and then they see you working on a car, and he watched all the girls line up to meet you guys. And he's like, that is just the coolest thing I've seen.
Oh, it is really, really cool. It's really special. And they get so excited and I get so excited too. I think it's so cute.
That is so great. And we're so proud of you too. I mean, me and Sarah I sent you her. Oh my God. So we were watching from local Rookies Pub, and me and Sarah Walker with NHRA, and we're like, she won. We sent a picture just like, yeah, go in.
Yes, I saw that. That was so cool. I loved that picture. That was awesome.
Yeah. So many people cheering for you.
Oh yeah.
That's so cool.
Andrew also asked, do you have any aspirations to go up to Nitro in the future?
What's funny is my mom, top alcohol has always been my dream. That's what I've dreamed of my whole life. It's where I've always wanted to be. But I was talking to my mom about this just randomly. But I just feel like I'm so young in the industry, and I love my life. I love the family team. I love driving top alcohol. I love my job. I love home, but I'm just so young. I feel like I have no idea where the future's going to go. So, I'm open to opportunities and things like that. And, but I love where I'm at, but you just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. I think it's a fantastic class. It's a class that I would love to license in. I've kind of leaned into the fact that, if I did do it, I would like to drive a funny car. It seems like so much fun. You make it look so easy, so
it's not, I swear. No, I swear. Sometimes I see the computer and I'm like, oh God, I wish I just cannot see that computer. Why did I just do that?
Oh man.
And like I said, and you do it all, like working. And that's the thing. Like I said, alcohol are my people too, that you guys are my class. And the fact that you guys do have the freedom to still work and fly back and forth. All those people on the plane must think you're crazy, like, pulling chutes while you're sleeping and stuff like that.
Yeah, my dad, he looked over at me because he didn't know I was doing that. He looked over and he's just like, oh my goodness, Maddie. And you can kind of contain. You don't have to pretend like the chutes are seriously over here. You could just do a little motion. I was getting the whole experience.
I want to ride on a plane with y'all.
Absolutely amazing. I'm very happy for you in your first win. I knew it was coming, and I knew it was coming. I thought it'd be sooner, but man, how perfect was it to be in Seattle at one of the most historical tracks and making history? It's pretty awesome, and it's just the first of what I feel many more to come.
I hope so. It was very, very exciting, but especially with it being the first place my dad ever won a national event. And Seattle, I've been to Seattle. We always, as kids, during the summer, we always got to go to one close race and one far race. And Seattle was typically like a close race. So we went there a lot as kids. So it's not home. It's far from home, but it's a place that I've been through always when I was a kid. So it was really special to win there. And, there's just, the fans were amazing. They were just so, so sweet when we came towing back. And we've got, it's funny, they call themselves Gordon's Goons, but they're people
awesome.
that we met. They're people that we met years ago. Actually, my dad met them years ago, and they are just amazing. I mean, they are hardcore drag racing fans. They actually traveled to Pomona to watch your dad's last race. They're from up in that area, and they traveled to Pomona to watch dad's last race. They had, seriously, they had a banner the size of the fence at Pomona. They hung it up. They had their own little section, and they called it Gordon's Goon section. And they're the sweetest. They're so cool. And that's their spot there. So it was really cool to win with them there. And it was really fun.
And I really want to quick point out your first wins are like, both of them are historic, your first national and then your first local win, which was your first regional win, which I was so lucky to be there with. I was so excited.
Yes.
For Tony Stewart.
Yeah. I know. What are the odds of that? Yeah, that was super cool. Super, super cool. He's such a just down to earth, humble guy. He's got everything in the world, but he's just still just low key, approachable. He's an awesome guy.
Yeah. And so you're getting these wins, and they're not normal wins.
No.
I know, right? I'm like, who are these people I am standing next to? Oh my God. Am I really supposed to be here right now?
Before we let you get out of here, one more quick question from Memphis Lonnie. He wants to know if you could explain what it's like to experience severe tire shake from the driver's standpoint.
Well, I've heard it said it's like sticking your head in a Home Depot paint shaker, but I don't know that anybody's actually stuck their head in the Home Depot paint shaker. So I don't know about that. But I don't know how to explain it. It's I guess a Home Depot paint shaker, but I don't really know what it's like. So it is. It really just it depends on the type of tire shake though. There's different types of tire shake. There's spinning where you're still accelerating, but it's just vibrating. And then there's aggressive shake. And then there's weak shake. And I am not very experienced, so I can't pinpoint them exactly. But experienced drivers like Sean Bellemere, Doug Gordon, all those guys, Shane Westerfield, Bob McCosh, they'll be able to tell you, oh, that was weak shake. Oh, that was tired. That was aggressive shake. But me, I'm just my head's beating up against the roll cage, and that wasn't good.
I have a headache as you describe it.
Yeah, I'm learning. I know I got to experience spinning at Seattle, so I was able to get that. And I know what weak shake is, and I know what aggressive shake is, but I'm learning to differentiate the two.
Yeah.
You gotta learn. Awesome. That's the only way to learn. Seat time and just having it happen to you.
Exactly.
Well, Maddie, we so appreciate you taking the time to come on the show.
Yes.
Man, I'm so elated for you and your family. And we look forward to seeing you turning on more win lights and hoisting more trophies.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor, and I love talking about drag racing. So
yeah,
we couldn't tell.
No, I mean I had my smile pretty well.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
So awesome.
I love them. I love her and her family so much. I've just adored them from when the first time I met him, and I went to, it was actually Annie Whiteley. I was talking to her. She's like, you need to talk to the Gordon girls.
Yeah.
And they're just amazing. And one of my favorite lines ever is her mom saying, Christina going, yeah, she was in gymnastics as a kid and that was too dangerous. So we put her in junior class. And she broke her like collarbone twice in gymnastics.
Really? Yeah.
Nice
You
to
do
say
something
it,
like
Greg,
that, it's
sir.
time to go.
Yeah,
it's time to go. Well, you were at a NASCAR event and this weekend. And
yes, Brickyard.
I'm interested to hear from you the differences between the NHRA and, that vibe of the fan access in NASCAR.
Well, I got to tell you, like I said, I love all things motorsports and I, try to do everything. And I also go to the Indy 500 there. And so it's just a different vibe from NHRA to NASCAR. Like NHRA, the whole people like, yeah, pit pass is a pass. Oh my God, it's true. And in NHRA, you take that for granted because you go over to NASCAR and you need passes to get everywhere. Like you can't just go to where they keep their cars in the garages. It's not like NHRA. They have their haulers someplace else, and then they have their cars in garage. And they had at this race the Xfinity Series in one garages, and the Cup drivers in another. And the Cup is totally fenced off. You have to have a special. I was fortunate. I'm media, so I have a media pass because. Shameless plug. I work for Wish TV CW, and we're getting the Xfinity Series in the fall.
Awesome.
And so I was lucky enough. I'm like, can I go in there? And the guy's like, oh yeah, come on in. But NHRA, and so you have Gasoline Alley where all the drivers come out and it's just mobbed. And these drivers just get there and they can only stand in like this 3 feet of space. And so people are just like mobbing to get everything signed, and it's helmets, cards, everything. Whereas, it's not people, not everybody. I feel like the elite have access to the garages to even meet the drivers in their garages. A lot of them kind of hide out in their haulers and then just come up, so it wasn't as fan friendly as NHRA is. I'm like, we really take for granted the access that fans have at NHRA races. And it's great to meet all the drivers, meet all the crews. And the other difference too is it's NASCAR as a track, and especially the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it's this huge track. You have to get the radio headphones or you don't know what's going on, because obviously can't see a whole mile around. Where NHRA, I can see all that's happening, but it's hard to watch if you don't have the things. You're like, what's going on? Why is everybody slowing down where there's yellow? Well, over on the other side. So, they still had a lot of fans, and I feel bad because everybody's like, oh, the fans were bare. Nobody showed up. IMS fits how many hundreds of thousands of people? When you have Indy 500, we had 350,000 people. Right. And this one had, I think, 50 to 70,000. So, it's not going to look as full. But trust me, 70,000 isn't anything to sneeze at.
It is not. It is not.
So, but it was a great experience. Like I said, we take for granted how great the access is at NHRA races.
Yeah. I only been to one NASCAR race. That was the 50th running of the Daytona 500.
Ooh, that'd been a good one.
Oh yeah. It was a very good one. It is different, very different in how things are done. You kind of feel shielded off from the drivers. It's kind of like one of those spectator sport. It's only feel like it's a spectator sport only. Like you don't get a chance to get close to nothing. So it's really interesting, the contrast there. NHRA goes to Sonoma.
Ooh, one of my favorite tracks.
Well, we talked about earlier the track of two different tales of weather.
Yes.
Should be interesting as far as qualifying goes, should be interesting to see how everyone performs, as we come into this thing. Last race of the Western Swing, I'm sure there's the ones that have won would like to sweep. This is where the rubber meets the road, though. This is where you kind of got to start coming into this thing and starting to build momentum towards Indy, because we're getting extremely close to countdown playoff action.
Yeah. And like I said, in Sonoma, when you're talking about the two different, for people who don't understand, this is Northern California. So it's beautiful and bright during the day. I've gotten sunburns, but then they actually have to take a break on qualifying day because the sun sets right at the end of the track. The drivers are looking at the sun. So we have to like sit for a half hour, wait for the sun to go down. Gorgeous pictures. Oh, I get the most gorgeous pictures. But then when that sun goes down, you freeze. I just remember being there one time and being next to all my drivers in their fire suit. And I'm kind of trying to, can you keep me warm now? Because I'm like, okay. But it's definitely a bucket list track for any race fan who like, well, I want to hit this track. It's a bucket list. I'm not saying that just because I love wine and I love the area. I mean, it is truly a beautiful track and beautiful facility.
Yeah. It's one that I would like to go to. It's one of those, one of the bucket lists, like you said. Really looking forward to seeing what goes down there. I did not take the time to look up the car counts or anything. I know people have talked about that, and I kind of liken it to liken Seattle to Epping. It's off the beaten path. There's an expense for this. You know what I mean? And some do not have or do not want to spend that expense to go to the far corners of the earth, so to speak. And they rather be able to put themselves in position where they can still not overspending and really be able to operate, I would say comfortably. So I don't think
camping there too. So
yes,
that's the nice part.
I don't think it's anything against the track or anything like that. I just it's a haul, and I know in the pro stock motorcycle ranks, there's a lot of people that still work day jobs, and it just doesn't work out, logistically for those folks. So hopefully those counts will be up in Sonoma, but if they're not, I mean, it's pretty much understandable why. Yeah.
And we don't have Denver this year. And I got to tell you, that's hurt me bad. Cause like I've seen all my memories this week, because I mean, the families love it back here because they're like, well, my guys are only gone 2 weeks as opposed to 3 weeks.
Right.
But gosh, I love the Denver track. And, one of the things I was feeling was for Cap's crew, who now have to do how much before getting to Sonoma. Cause in 16, I was with Summit and Wilkerson. And if you remember in Colorado is when he went hit the wall.
Right.
And it was like second time. And they didn't have the Never Rest Award back then because his crew should have gotten it. It's actually most of the guys were on Green's car now. And they got it done in time. So I'm just thinking about Cap's crew and how much they have to go through. And this is kind of like a home race for Caps too. So he really wants to perform in Sonoma. So, and it's a home track for lots of the California drivers, but I just feel for that crew right now, having to get everything back in time. They're not going to wine tasting unless Shasta and stuff like that.
Right. Dave Richards as well. Most oddest thing.
Yes.
I haven't seen that since Drag Racing 89. Let's just say that. You know what I mean? The hard turn right. Haven't seen that in quite some time. Really considering the actual hit, the car seemed to have fared pretty good. I did see on his social media they do have it at the chassis shop. They have some people that were willing to help them get that thing and make sure it's right, because that is absolutely the most important thing when it comes to driving a funny car, making sure that thing goes straight and it's safe. So I'm happy that they have the help that they need to be able to get that car, shored up and ready for Sonoma. But both guys and both teams have a big task ahead of them.
Yeah, and if you pull up Chris King's comment here,
Yes.
he gave us a little inside information here that T-Buck, everybody knows T-Buck. So yeah, they're already got another car headed that way.
It's crazy how well that it's like an old machine, how well they work in that. If something happens, it's like clockwork. It's on the way.
Yeah. Oh, and Chris has hooked us up with the Richards. Chris, you were just our wealth of information tonight. Appreciate you.
Thank you. I couldn't remember the name. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. I could not remember their name, but yes, give them credit. The Parkers really hooked up Dave Richards, and he's going to be ready for Sonoma. Again, racing is a big family, and as much as they compete against each other, and when it's on the starting line, they want to claw each other's eyes out. At the end of the day, when there's help and a hand that needs to be extended, it is extended. And, I think guys like Chris King can, attest to that.
Yes, and Andrew made a good point too with Dave is like that the wall wasn't solid, maybe because he was able to push it a little bit, that maybe it did do so much damage.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's one of those things where, there's been a lot of talk about safer barrier walls for NHRA, and as you can see with that wall being able to collapse, is really perfect for those type of cars. A safer barrier wall is not only cushions the blow, but it also pushes that energy back out. So we're talking about, like we've said, and when me and Lee have talked about this, is you basically have a ping pong ball, when you're talking about dragsters and funny cars that are making that kind of horsepower. So yeah, I'd like to see more retaining walls, maybe, that can kind of soften that blow a little bit. It's really a wonder, and it really a testament to the cars, what Ron Capps went through. It's really a testament to where these chassis and how well they're built.
Absolutely.
It really has come a long, long way. To think you're going 330 mile an hour plus, making that kind of horsepower, almost, basically strapped behind a bomb. And when it goes off, the guy just goes, "Yep, all right." that was loud, and there was a lot of stuff in front of me, but I'm okay.
Yeah. I always remember the driver, Larry Dixon, always saying, "I feel safer in my race car than you do in the truck going to the track." That always stays in my mind.
Yeah.
And my unpopular opinion, and it just worried me, is all the people lately that some of the sponsors are bringing up to the line and by the water box. Yeah. And that just terrifies me. And it's incidents like this. And, I've seen drivers like Jay Pena, they've ran over the starting lights and that, and just having so many people up there that just makes me nervous. But I know that's not popular opinion, but that's just mine. No,
I agree with you. I think it's a risk. It's sort of like I thought I was in Gainesville. It was the year that Tony was running the alcohol dragster, and I believe that was his dad that came out, and there was somebody standing right in the line of the pipes, and he was like, telling them to move, away from that area. If this thing decides to kick a rod, it's going to come out and ping you right in the head. And that worries me when it comes to having too many people on the starting line. I think there's a safe way to be able to do that. I want to give a shout out, though, to the guy when Dave Richards' car was coming. He got out of the way, but he was going to get his shot, though.
Oh, yeah. Props. I can't blame him. I'd just be like, at first, I'm like, oh, my God, I can't believe he didn't move. But then I'm like, yeah, I may have done the same thing.
He said Guido made some changes to Ron's car after John's crash, and it paid off, keeping Ron safe. Absolutely. Thanks, yeah. I mean, that's what they talked about, leaving it to the professionals and those who are around these cars to make those decisions as needed to protect the drivers. And of course, there's so many great minds out there that are able to be able to put their minds together and been around these cars a while to understand what it takes and what is needed to continue to progress and move the sport forward. So,
Yep.
It is absolutely amazing.
Safety of everybody out there, and the seat pours, back in the day, they didn't do the seat pour thing. So it was like, you just moved around, and now you're more stable. And
yeah,
I'm glad Chris's Bob is updating his car too.
Absolutely. It is a very good time in NHRA drag racing and in funny car, all the classes. Really excited about Sonoma, and we are almost done with the regular season. Can you believe it?
No, I can't, because I'm already looking up. I'm like, oh, Indy's in it, Brainerd used to be my race, and because I'm from there, I grew up at BIR. All the bathrooms have not changed in 20 plus years, but so that's where I grew up. And we used to have a suite in the tower, and I really wanted to go this year, but I think I'm going to skip it. But I'm looking forward to Indy. Is Indy already? Another unpopular opinion, though. I'm one of those people where I don't like the participation trophy thing where everybody makes it. That takes away from the drama Indy used to be. This is our last chance to get in, guys. This is our last chance. And doing this, you showed up, so you make it in, takes away. I mean, like I said, 1 year with Dave Conley, it was, we made it to the finals in the top, and we made it into the 10. But they're like, but if you run and you oil the track, you're out.
Right.
And so you're like nervous, but we're like, dude, we're going, and just. At the end, and there was a little engine problem, and I just remember standing up there with like Cougar and just like, please no oil, please no oil. I mean, the drama and the intensity of that, and I also miss too. I know we have the tasty takeout and the funny car call, but I also miss the we having the Traxxas and the Big Butt shootout.
Yeah,
that was another element too, because you had the people who made it in during the year, which added to that. It's like, hey, we're in, and having that fan vote. Oh my God, having the fan vote and all the campaigning and, getting votes, and then having the draw down in Indy. Yeah. I mean, that just made the race. So
it did. And I do miss that. And really it's taken away from some really, really good points races down there at 8, 9, 10. And the guys on the outside, 11 and 12. I'm looking right now at a guy in Josh Hart who really made some strides. They set out to make changes. Those changes showed up in Seattle. And look, with these next couple races to go, they've got an opportunity to punch their way in to this countdown in the top 10. Just think, if we had a hard line 10, the drama leading up to Indy and through Indy, it would be to have these points races of who's going to make it into the top 10. And I think we've got to get back to that. That's where the drama and suspense, it magnifies and really helps this sport. So, it's cool that guys who get to participate also get a chance to run for the championship. But, I mean, for the most part, if you're 12 or 11, you were 12 or 11 for a reason, because you're not
we might like it. We might like it. I don't think the drivers and the crew chiefs would like it, being the 11 and the 12. We love the drama. And like I said, I'm the big cheerleader for Josh and them. They're one of my favorites. And so I was so happy to see them get, he talked the talk and he walked the walk. He's like, I'm making changes. They made changes. And they did good in Sonoma or in Seattle and Sonoma. Ron's won there with Blake Alexander. So I'm just saying, look out.
Andrew is asking before we get out of here, who are your picks for Sonoma?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot. You go first. You're first.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Sean Langdon. I should have went with Sean in Seattle, and I said I was, and I did not. I'm gonna go with Sean. I am going to go in funny car. I'm still gonna go with AP. You gotta show me that you can beat him. That car is just super good. He's driving exceptionally well. I'm gonna go with Eric Latino in Pro Stock.
Really?
Yes.
I love Eric. Been quite
consistent. And I think it what was it, a red light? I think he turned on the red light this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So that car's been running very consistent. He's very strong. I'm going with Eric Latino. He's a win waiting to happen. In pro stock bike, I'm going to go with Gianna Evaristo.
Well, that's what my thinking is. It's the Scrappers. It's their home race. They're San Jose, so that's their home race. So it's a big one. That's why I expect big things out of Gianna also and Jasmine in top field. But I think for funny car, I'm actually going to go with Caps because the problem with me is I go by Juju and stuff like that. So I'm like, it's his home race. He's got so many fans there. He's won there before.
Right.
In pro stock, I'm a KB girl. I mean, they're my Minnesota. Greg's my Minnesota boy.
Yeah. And
so I really want to see Greg there. I watched him win there before. I've shared the wine in the winner's circle with them before. In bike, I'm same thing. It's like, I won't lie, I'm a Vance and Hines girl just because I know everybody there here in Indy.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the weekend. I think the Smiths are finally going to pull it off. I think this might be the weekend he finally, pulls one out. But then for the top field, I can never, because that's my favorite class.
Yeah.
And I'll go with Hart Hand. And like I said, it's the Juju thing again, where I'm like, Josh, I like the team and, they've won there before. His crew has won there before. So I'm like that, but like the same thing. Sean has just been on a tear too. So
yeah,
I can't pick yet. I have to see qualifying. I can't pick yet.
I picked Josh in Seattle. I just had a gut feeling that things were going to go well. It didn't work out, but the performance was there. And I think they're knocking on the door to be able to get there to the final round and be able to pull it off. It's so much good racing going on.
Yes, so much good racing.
The teams, these cars, the drivers are just second to none. I think the fans are getting an extremely awesome treat this season. And we said it was a great season last year, but it just keeps getting better every year.
I like when you have different winners. That's the variety of winners. That's what I love. And that's what that field is seeing a lot of different. And shout out to Mikey Mulaney. He thinks Richard Gadsden's going to win this race. Hey,
I don't discount that one either. I think he's on his way too. He's a win waiting to happen. He has all the intangibles, all the tools. It's going to come. I like that pick, Mike.
And like I said, I'm a Vance and Hines girl. I love it. I mean, like I said, we're all here in Indy. I mean, I ran the a 5K race with Matt.
Oh, nice.
And Hillary. So I'm like, yeah, that's why So yeah, it's so hard to pick, but like I said, and it's another thing too, where the altitude and everything, it's a whole different ball game. So we'll see.
Sean said, did anyone ever figure out what happened to Brittany's car first round? I did not.
Yeah, that was one where they both had issues. She went up right away. It was almost like a coast fest almost. Like,
yeah.
There was some
very
wild
weird.
first rounds in Seattle. There were some wild first rounds.
Yeah. Her car just gave up. It was really weird. I like your picks too, Andrew.
Yeah.
I can't deny Tasca. I think he's on the verge of starting to look, it's taking too long to see 341. Like, I know he can do it. Like, just give him the conditions, for crying out loud.
Do you see his hotel room this week?
Yes,
341.
Maybe it happens this weekend.
Yeah,
maybe
he's
it
got
happens this weekend.
Some behind him too. So he is so close last year. He's getting closer, but
he is.
Yeah, good team.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for tuning in to the Competition Plus Power Hour. It was awesome to have one of my favorite people in the world, Nikki Clark, on to co-host this with me.
Yeah.
And look, if you want your car to peak, there's only one place you need to go, and that's Peak Antifreeze and Coolant. They will keep you cool, and they will keep your car running at peak performance.
If you want to take your vehicle's performance to new heights, you got to give it Peak. Like our original equipment technology, antifreeze and coolant. Our formulas match the vehicle manufacturer's technology requirements so that we have the perfect match for every vehicle. That's one reason why Peak is among the fastest growing brands of coolant in America. We work harder to earn the trust of people like you every day.